Imagine landscapes with rumbling volcanoes, lakes of molten sulfur, and geysers spewing scalding water and carbon dioxide. It sounds like the surface of some distant planet, maybe even the backdrop of the latest science fiction TV show. As alien as these images are, you can find them right here on Earth. The Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean is the deepest part of any ocean on the planet. Located east of Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines, and almost directly below the island of Guam, the Mariana Trench is one of the most fascinating yet least explored places in our world. Here are 10 facts about the Mariana Trench that will blow your mind. Number 10. Giant amoebas. One of the creatures that calls the Mariana Trench home is a xenophyophore. What is a xenophyophore, you ask? Well, it's a giant amoeba, which is a single-celled organism that is usually microscopic. In the Mariana Trench, though, these guys grow up to be 4 inches or 10 centimeters long. They also don't really resemble their smaller relatives. While most amoebas look a bit like blobs, xenophyophores have intricate shapes that make them resemble coral or a sea sponge. Scientists have found these amazing creatures as deep as 34,850 feet, or 10,622 meters. To give you some perspective of just how staggeringly deep that is, Mount Everest is only about 29,000 feet tall, or 8,840 meters. Xenophyophore have developed a tolerance to uranium, mercury, lead, and many other nasty compounds that would kill any other animal. Scientists have long wondered what the xenophyophore eat. While research is very hard to conduct, they have found that the amoebas absorb nutrients with arm-like appendages called pseudoopedia. They are also able to convert the bacteria that forms on their waste into nutrients. That sounds less than appealing. Number 9. The bottom of the trench is no beach. When you picture the very bottom of the ocean, what do you see in your mind's eye? Perhaps a smooth, sandy beach-like floor or a rocky, jagged landscape. In actuality, the bottom of the ocean is unlike anything you might guess. According to scientists, the bottom of the trench is covered in a slimy sludge. This oldest part of the ocean contains all the dead and decaying matter from every animal, plant, and organism in the ocean. When marine organisms die, they begin a slow, steady sinking to the bottom of the ocean. This process creates what has been termed marine snow. As the decaying matter sinks deeper and deeper into the ocean, the pressure increases and begins to break down the material. As the pressure builds to insane levels towards the bottom, matter is turned into an ooze that settles on the ocean floor. Sludge is not the only thing at the bottom of the ocean. One recent explorer to make it to the bottom of the Mariana Trench reported that he found a plastic bag and candy wrappers at about 36,000 feet down, or nearly 11,000 meters. Number 8. There are bridges. Because exploration of the trench is so difficult, any new discovery is groundbreaking. In 2011, marine geophysicists discovered several underwater bridges that span the depth of the trench. These bridges are located where the Philippine and Pacific tectonic plates converge. When the plates move towards each other, they carry with them large land masses like mountains that are called seamounts. When the plates converge, the seamounts from both sides plow into one another and create the bridges. These bridges stretch over the trench in 4 locations. The tallest of them, called Dutton Ridge, is about 6,600 feet, or 2,000 meters wide, and 47 miles, or 76 kilometers long. It was first mapped in the 1980s, but not fully explored until the 2011 expedition. Scientists think that with the continued movement of the plates, these bridges might eventually collapse into the trench. They don't expect this to happen very soon, though, since the plates are only moving about 2 centimeters per year. Number 7. There's an underground lake of fire. In 2004, within the trench, a submarine volcano was discovered. In order to get a sense of the environment around the volcano, we can look at the name it was given, Daikoku, which means the Japanese god of darkness. Way down, almost 1,100 feet, or 323 meters under the water, the volcano lives. As if an undersea volcano is not extreme enough, in 2006, it was found that Daikoku is home to something that exists nowhere else on Earth, a 150-foot or 46-meter-wide crater lake of pure molten sulfur called Cauldron. The only other place in our galaxy where this exists is on Io, one of the moons of Jupiter. The cauldron burns at a scorching 368 degrees Fahrenheit, or 187 degrees Celsius, and scientists estimate that it is approximately 450 or 133 meters deep. There are several other craters on the slopes of Daikoku that billow plumes of white smoke. Scientists believe that there could be additional sulfur below the surface of the volcano. Sulfur has long been thought to be the main catalyst that brought forth life on Earth. Some scientists hypothesize that sulfur found in the Mariana Trench could point to the very beginnings of life on our planet. Number 6. The temperatures are extreme. When you are miles below the surface of the ocean, it can get very chilly. At its ultimate depths, the water in the Mariana Trench is just barely above freezing. On average, it is between 34 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. A quick flashback to science class, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. So at any given time, the water is at most only 7 degrees Fahrenheit away from actually being ice. However, on your way down to these depths, you'll notice that things can be considerably warmer in the trench. About a mile or 1,600 meters below the surface, hydrothermal vents dot the landscape. These vents spew seriously hot water at temperatures of about 700 degrees Fahrenheit. They're referred to as black smokers due to the amounts of minerals that they blast out. These minerals are necessary to the surrounding life forms, because the sun's rays has no hope of reaching these depths. The sea creatures in the trench absorb and convert these minerals into energy. Most insane of all, the blistering hot water from these vents does not boil due to the immense pressure at this depth. Number 5. It's the largest marine reserve in the world. The chances of you or anyone you know traveling to the Mariana Trench are basically non-existent. Because of the formidable depths, pressure, and extreme temperatures, it's not exactly a top tourist destination. Some people, however, are exploring the options of deep-sea tourism, and like civilian spaceflight, it's an emerging industry. Perhaps envisioning a future where technology would make the trench more accessible. President George W. Bush in 2009 signed into a law an act that designated the Mariana Trench as a national monument. With almost 100 square miles or 259 square kilometers of the trench under the legal protection of the United States. This makes it the largest marine reserve in the world. Fishing and mining are illegal within the borders of the reserve. Hopefully, these protections will help maintain this amazing part of our planet so that future scientists and explorers can continue to unlock its mysteries. Number 4. The pressure is immense. As we mentioned, the pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is enormous, measuring in at a crushing 8 tons per square inch. That is close to 1,000 times more pressure than we experience at sea level. But what does that really mean? It has been described as 100 elephants stacked on your head. Not a very hospitable place to hang out. Even though we could never survive at this pressure, several animals have found a way to adapt, survive, and call the Mariana Trench home. One fish, known as the Mariana snailfish, is one of the deepest dwelling fish in the sea. One was caught at 26,135 feet, or 7,966 meters below the surface. These fish are quite unlike the fish we are familiar with. In order to withstand the immense pressure, the Mariana snailfish has some unusual adaptations. This includes transparent skin with no pigment, larger than normal organs, thinner muscles, bones that are not completely hardened, and eyes that can't see anything. Number 3. Clams live in the trench. Because of the high pressure, most of the creatures living in the Mariana Trench are the giant mutant amoebas, squishy sea cucumbers, and highly adapted fish such as the Mariana snailfish. Anything with a complex skeleton or hard shell would be crushed to death. So in 2012, when scientists discovered clams living in the trench, they were stunned. They were not able to determine how the clam shell could withstand the pressure at this depth. The clams were found living near some of the hydrothermal vents. The water and rocks around this area are rich in hydrogen and methane, which helps life forms survive. The vents also expel a high level of hydrogen sulfide, which is typically lethal. However, these clams have evolved the ability to neutralize the toxic gas. Like most life in the Mariana Trench, these guys have found a way to survive despite all odds. Number 2. The Champagne Vent. While hydrothermal vents in the Mariana Trench are common, one stands out from the others. Rather than spewing 700-degree mineral-rich water, this vent releases pure liquid carbon dioxide. When scientists first discovered it in 2005, they were awed by the tiny bubbles, and thus it was christened the Champagne Vent. It is the only known thermal vent in the ocean that produces carbon dioxide rather than water. Because of its much lower temperature, only about 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 degrees Celsius, it was termed a white smoker. Some scientists have proposed that this white smoker, with its abundance of chemicals and energy, could also possibly be the location of the origin of life itself. Number 1. Only 13 people have ever made it to the bottom. As we've learned, the Mariana Trench is quite possibly the most inhospitable place on Earth. Traveling there is no easy task, and making a journey to the deepest part of the trench can take years of preparation. The very first people to make it to the bottom were Don Walsh, a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy, and Jacques Piccard, a Swiss oceanographer. In January of 1960, they arrived at the deepest known point in our ocean and named it the Challenger Deep, in an homage to the HMS Challenger, a British naval ship that made the first recordings of the staggering depth of the trench in the 1870s. It would be 52 years until another person descended back into the Challenger Deep. This time, it was film producer James Cameron in 2012. His love of deep-sea exploration kicked off the next decade of discovery, with 10 more people making it to the bottom over the next 8 years. As technology advances, more and more scientists, researchers, and explorers will perhaps get the chance to visit and study this amazing place. Who knows what they'll find? So what do you think? If you had the opportunity to visit the Mariana Trench, would you go? What would you want to see the most? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more Under the Sea videos. Until next time, stay curious.